Hey all, today I am back in Chicago and I have the opportunity to drive a minivan. And you know what? I am going to do a full review of this vehicle because I find it to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Spoiler alert. So we're going to dig into the things that I like and the things that I don't like. And yes, that is going to include a little bit of the technology. So let's take a closer look at this week's car du jour, the 2025 Kia Carnival Hybrid. Now I want to jump into the like list with the very first thing that I really like about this vehicle, and that is going to be the exterior styling. Now I should point out that this is an SX Prestige top tier model, but I just really like the fact that, this is a minivan that does not look like a minivan. I think they've done a really good job of giving this SUV-like proportions, which means that it just has this nice design that looks more rugged and less mom-mobile. I'm also a huge fan of this blacked out appearance package we have going on with these nice wheels and the blacked out grille, the blacked out badge emblem. Overall, I just think that this is exterior styling wise really well done. Now when you go inside the vehicle, I will say that this is just as well designed as the exterior. Now personal preference here, I would not choose a light interior on any vehicle that I would own if possible, because yeah, I would get this dirty, and I think it's an interesting choice to make this an option on a minivan, but I'm making this a personal do not like because this is just an option. But I think it looks good. I like the two-tone color scheme. I like the reverse stitching on the seats. I love the navy blue. I like the navy blue on the steering wheel. I like the two-tone nature on the dash. I like how the accents are designed into this, and I really like this large display screen. So as you can see, it goes from the driver cluster all the way over into the infotainment screen, and I think it works really well with the overall design. I like the tech forwardness of this vehicle, and so that takes me into another thing that I like is going to be the technology. You do finally have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on this large and lovely screen. And then when you get into the native system, you've got some decently designed icons here. They don't look outdated, and they're very swipeable as well. When you get into your setups, you do have some really good options in terms of what you can customize here. And I mean, an owner would want to drill into all of these screens just to see what is going to be available and how you want to configure things. One thing I do want to point out is if you go into your vehicle and then you go into door, this is where your smart lift gate is going to be situated. So I don't know if you've ever experienced like the smart trunk or the smart lift gate from Kia, but what happens is when you walk up to the back of the vehicle, it automatically opens if this feature is engaged. And depending on if you are somebody who lingers behind your vehicle, or if you have a garage and you're backing into the space and you have to unlock the door and maybe it opens automatically, you may want to turn that off. But it's located in door, and that's the smart lift gate feature. I've got it on because I find it helpful. Also in the tech realm, you've got what they call the blind view monitor. Again, this is the up-level trim. So what that means essentially is when you put on your blinker, it shows you your blind spot in your gauge cluster. I find that to be particularly helpful in a city environment because it will show off what is going on in your blind spots, especially like bike lanes. And so, if you're getting ready to make a right turn, you can just ensure that nobody is coming up quickly on you in the bike lane. So I find that to be very helpful. You also have a rear camera mirror. And so essentially what that does is it just turns this into a digital display. So if you have people or things blocking that rear window, all you have to do is turn on the camera and then you can still see out the back. But if you don't have people there and you're more of a mirror kind of person, you can do that too. So I like that technology, and I like that it is available on a minivan, because that is where it is going to be useful. When you have a 3-row vehicle and something is going to be blocking that back window, you can still see. Now, while we are talking about camera technology, I would be remiss if I did not mention that I also really, really like this camera on the Kia Carnival Hybrid. Now, you do have like the rear view with dynamic guidelines, you have the front view with dynamic guidelines, and you have the around view here. I just like the fact that you have different views and camera angles, and I absolutely love the clarity. I should point out that this is clear when it's bright outside, but it's also clear when it's dark outside, and that is very important to me, somebody who lives in a city and parallel parks a lot, as well as backs into my very dark and dingy garage. So this camera is super helpful, and it just looks really, really good. Now, something else that I think is really cool is the fact that you have a dual pane moonroof, and it is actually functional, and you can open both panes of glass. Now, you do have controls right here in the front where you can hit the one button push right there, and it will open both the shade and the window. And then you can open the rear glass as well with the press of a button. A lot of people will offer the dual pane, but they won't offer you the ability to open the rear glass. And so not only do they offer you the opportunity to open the front and rear glass from the front, which I think is really cool. Wait for it. When you come into the back seat, you can see that you can also control that window pane from this area right here. I just think that's really cool. Okay, it could get a little bit annoying if your kids are like, open, close, open, close. But I will point out, in the driver's seat, you do have a window lockout button. So if you did not want your kids to open and close that sunroof here, you just hit that, and then it locks this out. All right, while we are in the second row, I want to continue with my like list and talk about how adjustable these seats are. So this is the standard bench seat, and you do have a lot of leg room, and this is in the far back position. But, you know, if you wanted to give somebody in the third row a little more room, or if you wanted to move this seat into a more swattable position for parents, you could do that as well. But I like the fact that these have an extended range to slide forward and backward so that you can negotiate with all passengers to give really good legroom. This seat right here also slides independently of these outboard seats. So again, you can move this forward, and if you have somebody in a car seat here, it makes it very easy for the front seat passenger or driver to be able to reach back here and hand the child something. So I like that. Now, the other thing that I will point out with this seat is it does have the option to fold down, and then if you're not putting anybody in this seat, you've got like a flat surface right here, you've got cup holders, and the more important thing is you have separation between the outboard seats. Very, very important stuff. Now, you also have your rear climate controls, you've got air vents in the ceiling, and I like all of that, in addition to the fact that you can put this window mostly down, and you have sunshades in this second row. So there's a lot to like here, and there's one or two things that I also like in the third row, and yeah, let's check that out. Sitting in the third row, I'm going to start by saying you have plenty of legroom, and this seat is in the far back position. Now, okay, I'm about the size of your average 10-year-old, which is probably somebody you're gonna put back here. I'm 5 feet tall, I weigh about 95 pounds, and I have plenty of room to fit back here quite comfortably. And furthermore, I think you could fit 3 of me back here. This is a nice wide space. I don't know that I would want 3 of me back here for a road trip, but 3 of me in a pinch, will work just fine, and you're not going to be like shifting your shoulders to make everybody fit. 3 adults back here, maybe not so much. But sitting back here, I will say, even though these windows are a little bit on the small side, the fact that you have this dual pane glass that kind of filters some light back here does not make me feel claustrophobic. And again, even though the light material would not be my choice, the fact that you have the light material here in the headliner and this C-pillar also makes this less claustrophobic. The final thing that I really like back here, you have a 3rd row sunshade. I don't know that I've actually ever seen that before. Thumbs up, Kia. That's pretty cool. All right, while I'm sitting back here, you know what? I'm gonna kick off my do not like list, because there's just one thing that I don't like about this seat. It is not comfortable. It is really, really not comfortable. And I mean, I like the fact that the seats tip up a little bit and I'm not like eating my knees sitting back here, but the seats themselves are just, they're not well padded, and there's actually something right here that's like boop, pushing up right into my tailbone, and it's making me fidget. It's making me fidget. So I could be back here for a quick trip to the grocery store, dinner with the family, carpool, ride home, in a pinch kind of thing, but I don't know that I'd want to be back here for a road trip. If I were back here for a road trip, maybe I would consider bringing some kind of a memory foam cushion or something like that, because this right here isn't that bad. It's this right here that I don't like. Plenty of legroom, good thigh support, cardboard seats. Blech. All right, to talk about the rest of the things that I don't like on the Kia Carnival Hybrid, we're gonna go up that way. Now, the next thing on the do not like list builds into the discomfort of that 3rd row seat, and it's going to be around the quality of the materials. That was a little bit disappointing. The material on the steering wheel is probably my favorite part, because it feels like butter. It feels really smooth against my fingers, and it feels good when I'm holding it. But everything else just, I don't know, it just feels a little bit plasticky and not quite up to what I would expect for a $53,000 vehicle. While I have the camera pointed in this general direction, this should come as no surprise to anyone ever, but yeah, the wireless charger also makes my do not like list. Now, I did not take a 3-hour road trip in this vehicle, but I will say in the 45 minutes to an hour and a half that I've spent in here, it did overheat my phone and stop charging my phone. Now, you do have like a plastic rubber material right here that holds your phone in place. So it didn't stop charging my phone because my phone moved. It stopped charging my phone because my phone overheated. And it did not charge my phone fast. So I'll be honest with you, I've had a cord in the vehicle, and if I needed to charge my phone, I would just plug it in and set my phone here. So this wireless charger is more for short trips than I actually need to charge my phone. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say about that. Another thing that I don't like is also kind of in this area, and that is going to be the design of the center console area. In a minivan, I just really want more open space to set things, like maybe a diaper bag or a purse. This is a family vehicle, and while you do have some really nice deep storage here, there really is no place for you to set a diaper bag, you know, unless you're going to put it on the floor or kick out the front passenger and set it there. So I feel like you could move the gear shift to the column, do something creative with this, or even just open this up altogether and maybe put your wireless charger here. But I want floor space in a minivan, and this doesn't have it. Now we are almost reaching the and finally of the do not like list, but I would be remiss if I did not mention fuel economy. Okay, I've been sitting here a lot, and it is a really hot day, so we are only at 28.4 miles per gallon right now, but the best fuel economy I have seen since refueling in this vehicle over about 100 miles is 29.5 miles per gallon. EPA estimates I should get 33 miles per gallon in combined driving, and as you can see, I did not come close to that, and I find that disappointing. Lest you think that this has not hit the broken in period, we have more than 11,000 miles on it, and yeah, this is broken in. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a good hybrid driver. We've probably already established that, but I would expect over 30 miles per gallon, not this. I will say, however, the good news is, even after having driven 100 miles, I still have 534 miles of range. It doesn't even look like I've come off of the full on the fuel tank. So that gets on the like list. I should have mentioned that earlier. But the fuel economy, not so much. And now it is time for the and finally thing that I don't like about the Kia Carnival Hybrid. And unfortunately, it's kind of a big one. And that is going to be the hybrid powertrain itself. And I just think that maybe this just is not a powertrain meant for me, because what I have found is that when I am driving in a city environment and you've got to do like quick, aggressive accelerations. I mean, I'm not in a city now, but I was trying to do a simulated aggressive acceleration. It kind of goes, whoa, okay, you want me to go. And then I noticed some tire spin and some weird sounds and definitely a lot of lag. However, I'm currently in suburbia, and driving around here, I feel like as long as I'm a little bit more gentle on the throttle and I am not aggressively coming out of a light or a stop sign or moving into traffic, the powertrain does a lot better. And it does a lot better on the highway as well. But I will say that for somebody who has a more aggressive style of driving, you're probably not going to want to go for the hybrid Carnival. You're probably going to want to go for the regular gasoline engine with the V6 engine. Now, this has a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It delivers 242 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque, which is really decent for a vehicle of this size, but it is going to be less power than you are going to get from the V6. Full stop. So for me, this is just not my powertrain of choice. It didn't get the fuel economy I wanted, and it just is a little bit laggy and weird in terms of acceleration for me. So I guess that means I should probably get into my driving impressions now, since I'm in the position. So I will say that as a petite driver, I do have a good height elevated position. I feel like I've got good visibility out the windows, but with the height adjusted and forward position of my seat, I do feel a little bit cramped in the knee area as it pertains to the underbelly of the dash. And I do feel like I'm not that I'm sitting close to the steering wheel. I actually think I have a good distance from the steering wheel, but it's just like my knees feel a little bit close to things, and I would probably be severely injured in the shin area if I were in an accident. So not ideal for a petite driver in terms of driving position. Overall comfort is really good. I feel like the driver's seat is good. Now, I didn't take a road trip this week, so I didn't spend 3 hours in the driver's seat, but I did have a couple of jaunts out to the suburbs and, stuck in traffic, an hour-long commute out to my radio show. And I thought the seats were fine. I thought the driving position was fine. I thought the overall comfort and handling of the vehicle was really good. So definitely very maneuverable in and out of traffic. Also, because of the camera situation that I talked about earlier, it's also really very easy to park in tight city situations. So I think it's maneuverable, it handles well, it's comfortable, it's quiet. And when you are already at speed, it does better in terms of acceleration. So passing maneuvers on the highway are good, but it's just the off the line start that I found a little bit of weirdness. So again, not the powertrain for me. Overall, I think there's a lot to like and not like on the Kia Carnival Hybrid, and a lot of it is going to be personal preference. I think this is a great car. I think Kia has done a great job with the styling of this minivan to not look like a minivan, and I think that the overall comfort and design is also really good. So it's just going to come down to personal preference. You're going to need to spend the time with the vehicle if you are looking at this vehicle. And I think that's what I have to say about the 2025 Kia Carnival Hybrid. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time with a new car du jour.